Welcome to the another episode of COVID-19 step-by-step video analysis and visualization. Now we are in part 9. In part 8, we plotted an interactive line chart where we added a number of countries and the plot was generated to compare the COVID-19 cases across several countries. So this was my last video, so you can watch part 8 and know the details of how this graph was plotted. Today we will be discussing on making this graph looks like this and adding features like linear, logarithmic scale, viewing 1 year data, 6 months data, and adding hover feature like when we hover over a month, it shows all the trend of a particular country. So, and here is our slider where we can slide and view our trend for a particular month in a linear scale or logarithmic scale. So today I will be covering how we can turn our graph from this graph. This was from part 8 to this one. So I'm going to show you step by step on how I generated this graph. So let's jump into the code first. So this was my code that you can find in my part 8 video. So let's start. I'm not gonna be using my default. So this is my code for generating the layout. This is my header, which we say right here, and then I have added two tabs, one for COVID trends and another for COVID daily trend. So two tabs can be shown here, and this one and this, and inside my children I have COVID trends, and within that I have monthly COVID-19 cases, and the alignment is center. So this is how we generate that. And then we have label where we add choose number of countries to compare, which is this. And then I added drop down to DCC. You already know it's dash component, and my ID is country name, and this is my list of unique countries that I have added, and by default it shows 3 countries. Monetary is true. My styling, I have added this styling, and my graph name is line graph, and I have used class name as container in order to set the background color or as per my CSS file. So, and once we do that, I have added another tab which is COVID daily trend. This one I will be adding the feature later on. One thing to be careful is with brackets. So this is my parent tabs. So this opening bracket should be here. This should be my closing bracket. Within the tabs, we have COVID-19, which is one tab, and another is the COVID daily trend. So we need to be careful of adding the tabs and making the closing of our brackets. So it's the children, the tabs. Within tabs, we have COVID-19 and COVID daily 19. So it should be within the parent tabs. So we need to be careful with this. So let's run and see what's the out. So here we go. We have included our graph in this layout. The background is still showing black. Let's decrease our size to 600, and let's restart our kernel. Yeah, we have embedded our graph in this layout. We can say the changes now. United States. The graph is also working, but I need to make this look more attractive. So I even need to add log and linear function here. So how can I do that is adding adding one line of code will change my hover. So X unified will change my hover to this. Let's say. Yeah, we can see the hover line has been added for each month, and so this is through this command. And I have updated my menu to include both linear and log. So on y-axis, so my y-axis type will be linear and log. So if I rerun this result, bracket was missing. So this is working now. Now I can see my logarithmic and linear scale added in my chart. So this is through this line of code, adding a log and linear in my y-axis. And now I'm gonna add slider. So the line of code is used to add the slider. I have used for define my labels for 1 month, 6 months, year to date, and 1 year, and all. So this line of code uh, generates this slider, and it's on the basis of x-axis. So we have defined this as x-axis. So let's rerun this code. Now we can see the slider has also been added. The reason for adding logarithmic scale is if we have too many countries on our list to compare. So suppose I have added some few countries. So the we, we can see the train, but at the bottom, the graph looks quite congested. So changing it to logarithmic scale help us to view the data more accurately and more concisely. So it's quite clear to use a logarithmic scale so that we can view the trend for each country. So that's the reason of adding a logarithmic scale. So that's it. So I need to change my background color. One last thing was remaining. Background and plot background color. I have set it to default so that it matches my background. So let's rerun this all. So here we go. This is my final output. We can add any number of countries and view 6-month trend, 1 year trend, and simply can hover at any particular month and look at the trend of several countries. So this is for part 8, and in part 9 I will be adding more plots and making this looks more beautiful, and will be covering more charts and analysis on COVID-19 data. Thank you so much.